Hey everybody, welcome back to Kicking in the Second Half, KISH YZ. I'm here to bring y'all the review of the NBA Finals so far, which it's basically almost over. At most we got 2 games left. Today, Tuesday, we're about to play Game 6 in Milwaukee, Phoenix Suns versus the Milwaukee Bucks. There's just been so much that's happened since I did the last video where it was basically going to be a review or prediction or what I thought basically was going to happen in the series coming up for the finals. And I think I'm pretty close to my predictions. If you remember hearing about my predictions in that video, you could check that out or listen to that if you're following us on the audio only podcast. But I think I had said that I feel like whoever's going to win the series, they're going to win at home. They're going to be wearing the black jerseys. And I was predicting, I think the Suns in 5, Bucks in 6, or Suns in 7. And I was hoping for a 6 to 7 game series. And funny, after I actually had did that video, the next day I had looked online and I saw where they had on the website where they released the listings of the jerseys that the teams were going to be wearing for the whole series, and they're all were wearing black the last 3 games. So that was pretty cool to see that part of my prediction actually come true right off the bat after I had did the last video. But yeah, I want to say that obviously I got what I wanted with the 6 or 7 game series. Like I said, it can either be over tonight in Milwaukee, in my opinion, or over in Phoenix if there's a game 7, in my opinion. Now, obviously, the Bucks could win at home and then lose. No, I'm sorry, they can't do that. That's my bad. The Phoenix Suns could win away, and then the Bucks could win away, which would make the Milwaukee Bucks win the series or the championship in 7 games. I don't see that happening. I feel like either the Milwaukee Bucks are going to take care of business tonight and win it in 6, or the Phoenix Suns are going to, do what they need to do to get back on track and stay in this finals, obviously, by winning tonight's game and then going back home with some momentum to build upon and take care of business at home. So yeah, both teams, one of them is going to win at home. So like I said, each team has a chance here, but I'll get into to see what do I think, or who do I think would get it the wins for the 2021 NBA championship. So yeah, I just wanted to point out that the finals predictions they're coming true. I didn't pick a team in the video, so if you were keeping track of what I was throwing out there as far as predictions, I'm still on track there. But it was funny the other day. My friend Katie, he texted me. Shout out to Katie. He had asked me, or I think I asked him first who he had for the night's game, because he had sent me a text when I was about to watch the game. I was like, yeah, who you got? And he was like, I got the Suns. And I was like, I want to say the Suns, but my gut tells me the Bucks. I was like, I just kind of like that momentum. I said, but Giannis's brother Thanasis not being there because I think he was out for COVID. He might still be out in quarantine or something like that. I was like, I think he's going to need a big game from Middleton and Drew Holiday, obviously, not just because they need to step up and perform, but just because Thanasis kind of talks to him. If you're watching right before the tip off, when they're about to enter the court, he hugs his brother, and then his brother like gives him a prep talking into his ear, and then just kind of gets him ready for the game. And after that, he goes to town, gets straight into business. But yeah, I believe that that was my thought of that game right before it happened. And watching that first quarter where the Suns were basically up 16 the whole first quarter, and then I was like, you know what, maybe he was right. I was like, but for some reason I was thinking the Bucks, and then the Bucks just kind of rallied back in that second quarter. And then Drew Holiday has been a beast. That's my first guy I want to talk about. It's just Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday has been incredible. You could just see the strength of this guy, low key, he was always been a strong guard. He's a pretty big guard as far as like playing the point guard position, because I used to kind of see him as a shooting guard, and then that could play the point guard position. But the Milwaukee Bucks have a big team in general, but with him and his strength, you really see him kind of like move some guards with his elbow. But Devin Booker did the same thing to him, I think, in the last game, where he kind of got close to the rim and just kind of nudged him a little bit and kind of moved him out the way with his body weight. So that was kind of interesting to see, the strength. But one of the other things I do want to point out with this series is the mid range. Shout out to Cousin Fred, because we were talking the other day about all the mid range assassins, if you want to call them that. But you got players like Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and then you got Chris Middleton, likes the mid range. Drew Holiday, he likes to drive and shoot three, so he's not too much of a mid range. But you got Giannis. I don't mind his mid range fade. Like, it's almost like that, that baseline turnaround. When he lifts his leg up a little bit, almost like Dirk kind of. But you can't really block that because he's already a big player anyway. But that shot looks pretty good. I liked his form on that. His release looks really good, and it goes down. Quite often. It goes down probably more often, obviously, than his 3-pointers. But I'm not mad at him taking the 3-pointers. I don't want to see a Ben Simmons where if you have the opportunity to take the threes, you should definitely try the threes. Sometimes it's unnecessary. I think he took one in the first quarter in the last game while they were down big, and I was like, I'm not sure if that was the time for that. They did leave you open for a reason, but all in all, down the stretch, he did what he needed to do as far as playing his style of game. But yeah, back to Drew Holiday. Yeah, Drew Holiday is just, can we just say that he's been the difference maker for the Milwaukee Bucks? Maybe not just him, but because you also have PJ Tucker that was added mid-season there, but just Drew Holiday there, going from Eric Bledsoe to Drew Holiday. Obviously, that move was intended to get the Bucks into the NBA Finals, to get to where they are now. Regardless, win or lose, they got him here, and they liked what they saw earlier on in the season, and they signed him to the extension. So next year, you've locked up Giannis, you've got Chris Middleton, you've got Drew Holiday. So you've got your core guys right there for your team, and they believe in what he brings to the team is legit. And obviously, it's gotten them to where they're at now, and it is legit. He's showing up. There's a couple games we watched. I think it was game 2 when we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and we kind of saw where another one of those off nights where Drew Holiday just wasn't having a great scoring night. I think he went 3 for 13, something like that. But I was like, he's doing so much on defense. It's kind of, taken away from his offense a little bit as far as his energy level. But I like the fact that he kept attacking the rim, because it's like, you don't settle for the jump shots. You might not have your legs under you for the jump shots, but you try to attack the rim, draw some fouls, and get to the free throw line. But he stayed persistent with that, and then he's been consistent with that throughout the whole playoff series. And he's gotten acclimated to his rhythm and what he needs to do. And every game, I feel like he's actually been growing as a player himself, as far as on this big stage. And I expect the same going into Game 6, especially being a home game for the Milwaukee Bucks. But not just him, but obviously Chris Middleton's been back on track. The first couple games are kind of rocky, but we kind of saw this a little bit in the Brooklyn series. And that was part of the things I was telling my friends at work, that, we saw it in the Brooklyn series. We saw what the Bucks had to go through to get through Brooklyn, and it seemed impossible or improbable. And, for them to be able to overcome that hump there, going to the Atlanta Hawks series, that was just a totally different type of series because of the mentality of those guys and the youthfulness of it. They're going to be bound to make mistakes. So, as a skilled player or more of a veteran player, you kind of capitalize on different things and know your matchups. But, starting off in the finals, it was kind of shaky for them. But I was like, they have a chance. They're not out, even though they're down 0-2. That was what Phoenix was supposed to do, is win the home games. And that was another thing that I stated in the first video to review or predict this series, was that the home teams, the home court advantage is key here. But, it takes one of the teams to steal home court away from the other team. But, the Phoenix Suns did what they needed to do in the first 2 games. I know the blowout was, it's kind of like out of proportion, because it's like, wow, if Phoenix is steamrolling the Bucks like this, but the Bucks, it's up to them to make an adjustment, and that's what they did. So with the Phoenix Suns being up 2-0, that's what they needed to do. The Bucks needed to bounce back and answer that, and they did. And that momentum carried over into Game 5, where they were able to still win on the road. But Giannis is definitely doing his thing out there. He's looking like, the MVP that he was the last year. And, the defense has been crazy. We've seen some crazy blocks. We've seen a lot of great things here. I don't want to focus too much on the Bucks, but I wanted to cover the Bucks first and then go into the Suns. But, we've seen 2 great Giannis blocks. We saw that lob. Was that Game 1 that Jay Crowder to DeAndre Ayton lob catch finish. That was ridiculous. I'm sure there's other moments, a lot of mid range, like I said, but just a couple of those things alone has been uh, something to remember these finals by, because of how I'm just tuning in and just watching the finals. Like I said before, I think this is one of the finals, or maybe my first finals that I'm actually watching. And like I said, I got people I know, friends on both sides here, as far as Phoenix Suns fan and Milwaukee Bucks fan. But yeah, shout out to the Tavern Geek for Phoenix Suns, and shout out to the Feeling Lucky podcast crew over there for the Milwaukee Bucks side. But yeah, I'm watching this series, and I'm not actually rooting against. Now, obviously, people typically root for a team, but put in the comments, do you typically watch it to root for a certain team, or do you actually root against the teams, assuming that you're not a fan of either one of these teams here? Like, I'm a fan of the league, of the NBA in general, so I'm not trying to be biased on one team or the other, but I'm not rooting against, like, oh, I don't want Giannis to get a championship, I don't want Chris Paul to get a championship, or anything like that. I'm actually watching the basketball for what it is, and I'm liking what I'm seeing, and it's been very entertaining and stressless for me, just watching it and feeling like, okay, this is good quality basketball as far as the competition level and how they're battling against each other. I don't care about that narrative of it's not Lakers, it's not Celtics, it's not Warriors, it's not Nets. That's fine. We can take a break from that. We have good quality players here. We can't act like Giannis is not an MVP, not a defensive player of the year. We can't act like Chris Middleton hasn't been an all-star and hasn't shown up in these playoffs as an all-star, or like Drew Holiday hasn't been an all-star, or Chris Paul is washed up all of a sudden, like he's not the point guard that he is in the league, or Devin Booker's not an upcoming superstar, or Aiton's not an upcoming all-star. Like, we can't ignore these facts. Like, yeah, they're just not wearing the jerseys that people want to associate with the finals. They're great players. They're here for a reason, and they get their teams here, and they're going to work. So yeah, you might see where a team gets beat pretty bad, or a team doesn't recover very well. That happens in the finals. Sometimes you see that. It's about making adjustments and adjustments. That's why it's the best of seven. It's not the Super Bowl where you go out and you go hard, or you don't. You go home. But in this one, it's like I said, but the 7-game series here, you kind of want to bring it every night, but if you do bring it a certain way, you have to learn the adjustments. And so far, I guess we could say that the Bucks have been the better team at adjusting, because going from where they started off at with that 0-2 hole there, and then trying to figure out a way to not lose any home games, and then to go to Phoenix and win that was incredible. That was crazy. But let's get to the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns here, um, they're on track to be an upcoming threat to the league, as far as a team that could be a perennial team in the playoffs. Now, do I see them coming back to this stage next year? I don't think I do see them coming back to this stage next year, but you never know what can happen as far as adding players or trading out players. Do I see Devin Booker returning to this stage? That is the bigger question. And yes, I do see him. I mean, we're watching him become even greater of a player than he is, become the superstar that we think he should be and will be down the road before long. I mean, he's got 6 years under his belt now, and he's made the finals. So, he's doing big things, and he's going to want to win. So even if he does not win these finals, he's going to want to win the finals. Or if he does win this finals, one is not enough for this guy. It's not going to be enough. He's going to lead and dictate his own future and some relevance when it comes to the Phoenix Suns, or if it comes where he needs to go elsewhere in free agency or request some type of trade, like some players tend to do nowadays in modern times. But it doesn't matter. He's going to want to win from here on, and that's what's going to be scary for him, because he knows that he has to be greater and get better year after year. And this is a guy, I don't want to risk injuries on anybody. I'm so grateful that there hasn't been too many injuries in these finals. They did lose Sarge for the year. I think that was ACL, but in general, the players are here and they're healthy. But that doesn't get me to one other point, that Chris Paul, I don't know what's happening here with him with the turnovers. I'm wondering if it is something to do with his shoulder, or if it's something to do with his finger from, just being banged up. I think something happened with his finger earlier on in this series, and the shoulder was that from the Clipper series or maybe the series before? I can't remember. Maybe the Lakers in the first round. But maybe there's something that might come out later. He doesn't want to use that as an excuse, to finish out these finals. But I'm wondering if that's going to come out that he was playing under some slight element of an injury, and that's what contributed to him playing the way he's been playing. As far as the turnover ratio is not like how it had been for the first round. Of course, it's supposed to get harder and harder each round into the finals because it's the best of the best playing each other. But still, it's just kind of unorthodox for him as far as how he had been playing. So just one thing to keep an eye out. But yeah, for Devin Booker, he's definitely going to want to return to this stage, and I definitely see him returning to the stage. He has Aiden there, so Chris Paul is wanting a contract, and that's another thing. Like, if the Phoenix Suns don't win this, does Chris Paul get that contract extension? Or not a contract extension, a renewed contract where he denies his player option and he's wanting to sign a deal for 3 years that's worth about $100 million. So roughly on average, that's $33 million per year going into, the next 3 years. I think he is the same age as LeBron, so around 36, 35, 36. So you're talking about through age basically 39. Like, this would probably be his last NBA contract or last big NBA contract. He could do a Vince Carter route where, if he does do something like this in this fashion, where he kind of does like a minimum deals or something like that to, help contribute to a team, or just, maybe not minimum, but somewhere around like the $7 to $8 or $9 million range, kind of like a Rajon Rondo at the moment with his contracts, because he could still contribute to teams. But, you know, how does this affect them if they lose? I mean, he did help them to get to the finals. Like, they had the talent to make it, but you have to have that headstrong mentality and have that sense of urgency and not urgency. Like, know when to control the pace and know what to do to dictate your own offense and create plays for others, and read the defense and read what the other team is doing and how to respond on the court. And which is what the Bucks struggled with the first 2 games when they lost in Phoenix, especially the one where they got blown out because of not being able to make those adjustments. So that's what I'm thinking or asking. Do you think Chris Paul is suffering from some type of injury because it's just not like how he was to begin the series? And I mean, me personally, I think that, getting them to the finals, as long as he's healthy, like if the report doesn't come out that he has an injury, then he could potentially get the contract he wants because, he's very valuable to a team. He's still a starting caliber player, a point guard. He obviously is still an all-star because he made the all-star team again this year and he was playing at an all-star level. So he has a lot to contribute to a team. And then just this playoff experience alone is enough to want to get you over the hump. If you're one of those teams, or if you're the Phoenix Suns, you're wanting to try to redo this, repeat this, and maybe swap out a couple things as far as, or trading, using some picks and some bench players or role players or something, and trying to upgrade in different situations, or different players, or adding vets next season to your roster. You could definitely do this. But for Chris Paul, I think he can get what he wants. But if an injury does show up shortly after, it's going to be a high risk for any team who's wanting to give him that exact contract. They might want to, trim off some years with the contract, or trim it down to salary overall. I'm not sure what type of deal it would look like. I'm not Adrian Wojnarowski. I'm not that dude, so I don't know what they would be thinking as far as contract wise. Maybe 2 years, 45 million. That seems fair. That puts them about 22, $23 million a year. And just do it for 2 years, maybe with the team option or something like that, or a player option. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. I don't wish injury on anybody, but it just kind of gave me a red flag as far as like, okay, what are we seeing and what are we not seeing as far as what's not being exposed out there? But why do you think Chris Paul's been playing like he has the last couple games? It's different when a player trends down up, as far as like, okay, they were playing kind of rough and they got better, like in Chris Middleton's case. But when they play good and then they get worse, it's like, well, it can only be a handful of things, right? Because they're a veteran player and they know what they're doing. So but yeah, that's another thing to keep an eye out. Actually, that just answered both of my questions that I put down to present to y'all on here, as far as when it came to the Phoenix Suns. But yeah, I don't think there's I don't want to give up on the Phoenix Suns as far as saying that they can't win this, but they can. They would have to straighten up, and Chris Paul would have to be Chris Paul, and they would have to go with this, this scheme, and be very aggressive going into, the Bucks arena here, and just, put on a performance. Like Devin Booker's been putting on those 40-point performances. He needs to go, for 40 again, but Chris Paul needs to help out. Jay Crowder, you keep doing your thing with the threes there, but it's these smaller role players like, the Mikal Bridges, sorry. He is another player that sometimes he's kind of hit or miss as far as his involvement. I do love his defense. He has the length, but maybe you change things up. Maybe you put Cameron Johnson in to start this game and see what he can do for you on the offensive end. Be a deterrent for Chris Paul and Devin Booker when it comes to the offense. But I mean, the Bucks defense is going to be crazy at home. So that's one thing to worry about. But if you switch it up on them, maybe they'll have to make an adjustments. And then if they're not truly that great at making adjustments, as far as in-game adjustments, then maybe you can roll with this. And then you go back home and you do what you do on the home court. But overall, for me, I feel like, I want to say, I hate to say this for Phoenix Suns fans, but I feel like it's over. I feel like the Bucks is going to take this win. They have enough momentum by winning 3 games, and they definitely, what they shouldn't do is go into this and think, okay, we need to win 1 out of 2. Don't do that. That's just a bad way of thinking, because one game can slip away from you, and then it comes to the last game, you're like, okay, we need to win this. Well, obviously both teams want to win this one, because whoever wins this one is the champion. So you got to look at, this is all on the line here. It's game 6 or nothing. So that's what I would be saying. Like, there's no game 7. We don't win game 6, we don't win the championship. So that's what they need to do. But I think they can do it because of the momentum of how they've been playing and everybody knowing their role. I would like to see Chris Middleton get started a lot earlier with his offense, as far as, getting in rhythm with his shots. And then from there on, there's no question about the delivery that the Bucks would bring at home. I think they will erupt. And then at this point, this will lead me down to, like, okay, who do you think is going to be the finals MVP? Leave in the comments who you think would be the finals MVP if the Milwaukee Bucks were to win this championship here. I've had some friends talk about maybe Chris Middleton could be. I mean, it's a possibility. I would say if Chris Middleton outscores Giannis by like 50 points, because, Giannis does a little bit of everything. He does everything. So if Chris Middleton, let's say Giannis has 30 and Chris Middleton drops 50, maybe that could happen. An under radar guy would be Drew Holiday, because of what he's been doing, contributing defensively and offensively. But all in all, I would think it would be definitely Giannis. But on the contrast, if the Phoenix Suns win this whole series, they win game 6, go back home, win game 7, who you think it would be? Do you think it'd be Chris Paul, or you think it would be Devin Booker? And right now, for me, the difference maker in winning the next 2 games, or just game 6 for Phoenix, is Chris Paul. He needs to perform better as far as cutting back on his turnovers and making good reads, making good plays, and, just be Chris Paul. And I think they can get a win here, but it's going to be extremely tough against these Bucks, who have the momentum, and they're at home. They're ready to win a championship. This is what they've been building towards for the last several years, where Phoenix had basically just done this in a year, which is a big step forward, going from the bottom. This is like a Drake song, and here they are, and going from the bottom and then making it to the finals, like not being in the playoffs for several years, being a lottery team. And now you've used your lottery picks and your pieces, and you added the veteran and Chris Paul, and boom, this is where it got you this year. So take advantage of this, because it might be hard to come back to this same exact stage within the next year or so, because you do have some teams that are looking to re-up, some veteran teams with some good veteran players. So it might be a little bit before you get back to the finals. So I would definitely go into this game thinking like, okay, we can't lose anymore. This is it right here. We're going to win this game, and we got to go home and win that game. But one step out at a time. We got to come out here with tenacity. We got to not listen to the crowd. We got to stay in our element, stay in our game, stay locked in, because the Bucks are going to play overexcited. We got to capitalize on all their mistakes on their home court. We got to go after loose balls. We got to not play scrambled, but be organized and communicate and be verbal and you know, be assertive and aggressive and stay on top of each other. So you got to have some of that type of mentality to overcome this Bucks home court and all their fans, but not get overwhelmed by the fact that there is a championship on the line as far as losing that game. So we'll see what happens, but obviously I just gave my actual prediction for the series. I'm going to say the Bucks are going to wrap it up tonight, but I wouldn't mind seeing a game 7. That will happen Thursday night if that happens. If the Phoenix Suns win tonight on Tuesday, then game 7 will be Thursday, and I'll be down for that. I'd want to obviously watch that and extend the NBA season a little bit more, but this might be the last video for what we're doing here as far as doing the NBA coverage. After this would be the NBA draft. That's going to be happening next week. That's June 29th, July 29th. So that's next Thursday. And then I can't remember when free agency starts, but soon after that, probably a week or so after that in August. So that's when things get interesting. We've already seen a trade with Kemba Walker. So trades, I guess, can go down now. So we'll see what happens there. It's fun to keep up with trade rumors. So maybe, do some videos on that. And then also in the off season, as it gets closer to starting the regular season, do maybe some videos off for, fantasy basketball. If you're interested in hearing about that, leave that in the comments. I do like to played that for the last 5 or 6 years now. And, I usually play the ESPN fantasy basketball, not typically the Yahoo. So I would probably be going off of that as far as my information, and then see if we could have fun with that as well. But free agency and the trade rumors, that's definitely a big thing that gets everybody excited. That's like almost the best part of the NBA season outside of the finals is just, or the playoffs in general, is just what's going to happen between players, who's going to team up with who's going to ask for a trade, or what GMs is going to be like, oh, he just got traded because I don't want him on the team anymore. Like I said, there's guys out there already in the rumor mill. You got Lonzo Ball potentially being shipped to different places, New York, Chicago, something like that, or returning back to Los Angeles. Obviously, Ben Simmons is a big name. Damian Lillard's a big name. Kawhi Leonard is somebody to watch out for because he did not sign an extension like Paul George did. So he will be potentially returning under his current deal or opting out of his his contract with the player option and re-signing a new deal with the Clippers, or doing some type of sign and trade with the Clippers to go elsewhere. There was a rumor out there that the Warriors were interested in him. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but I do want to give a little tidbit that the Warriors are going to be looking like the team to really do something drastic that's going to be like, oh my gosh, here they come again, because they do have some assets, a lot of assets in my opinion, that they could trade. I did do a video months ago with Micah from the Tavern Geek where we did a what if they got Karl Anthony Towns. I'm still kind of banking on that. Like if they got that, not a Warriors fan, but just, just thinking of like, how crazy would that be if they, they obviously have dealt with the Timberwolves before. So if they did some type of trade again, involving Andrew Wiggins, not sure if the Timberwolves will want him back, might have to take a third team in there or something like that. But they do have James Wiseman they could potentially trade, or well, add him. And like I said, you got Wiggins, you maybe Oubre. You got, I think they have the 7th and the 14th pick this draft, something like that. And then you have future draft picks. I mean, they're probably going to go all in, because if Steph Curry is in the same shape he was this year with that stockier build, and Klay Thompson's ready to run, he's healthy, and obviously you still have Draymond, they're one big piece away again from being in the finals, which is scary. So we can't forget about them. Obviously the Lakers are going to try to make a some type of trade as far as big teams out there. And then the Blazers, they either need to trade Damian Lillard in my opinion, or trade other players away and do a whole rebuild, but keep Damian Lillard, and see what they could do with that. So I mean, if the Suns can do it, maybe they can do it, but they have to be creative, and that all starts in the front office from the GM and I guess the president and whatnot. So we'll see what happens there. Those are all Western Conference teams. The East, the one I'm really watching, or two, I guess, Philadelphia 76ers are one I'm watching, because obviously with the Ben Simmons trade talks, that'd be kind of crazy if they actually kept Ben Simmons and traded Embiid. I don't know if that would happen, but who, let's see if they maybe end up with Kawhi. I think I had to do something out on Twitter about Damian Lillard for Ben Simmons. Does that make each team better? Because Ben Simmons could be on the Blazers. They can use him for their future and try to rebuild with him, and or ship him later in another repackage. And obviously the Sixers would love to have a player like Dame. Um, the Boston Celtics, another team we talked about during our podcast over and over and over because of what they failed to do during the trade deadline, where we felt like they should have grabbed a big that was available, i.e. Nikola Vucevic. They could have grabbed him, in my opinion, but they didn't. They got Evan Fournier, another guard. Don't think they really needed him. And yeah, you just got a couple other teams. We'll see what the Washington Wizards do. They kind of are a stalemate every year. They did make the playoffs this year with Russ and Beal, so we'll see if they want to keep that intact or trade them both or trade one or the other. So I'll be definitely keeping track of that because I'm a big Russell Westbrook fan. He's one of my favorite players in the league, and I'm interested to see where he goes. I'm hoping he stays in Washington because I would like to go see him. So hopefully he stays nearby here. But yeah, just some teams. The Miami Heat, they'll probably want to shake some things up, not too drastically, but they'll probably look to make some type of trade. I think there was rumors before that they wanted Kawhi Leonard, but we'll see what happens with that too. But yeah, like I said, just all kinds of things to talk about. So just a little preview there. But before I go, I want to ask one more question, and I think I did put this on Twitter. But what do you think? Do you think when in regards to this matchup with the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks, would you like to see this if majority of the team players stay intact for either team? Would you like to see this as a Christmas Day game, one of the Christmas Day games? I think the Milwaukee Bucks have been featured the last couple years. I could be wrong. I don't remember who was even featured this year, but would you like to see the Phoenix Suns versus the Milwaukee Bucks for a Christmas game? Now, I'm assuming they're going to have this as one of the opening night games when the season does return in October. They usually do 2 NBA games to start off the NBA season, followed by all the other teams playing the following day. So I would assume this matchup would definitely happen then. But do you want to see this matchup happen for Christmas Day? And yeah, that's all I have to say. So yeah, leave in the comments who you got for the series as far as who do you think is going to win. Whether or not you're a fan, you could throw that in there. But I hope everybody's enjoyed the season this year, and I wish both teams the best of luck, and hopefully best case scenario for everybody, well, not for everybody, maybe not for Milwaukee Bucks fans, but maybe we'll get a game 7. We can watch a little bit more of NBA basketball before we get to these Olympics. Our team is looking a little scraggly right now, and I don't know about that team, but they are missing some players. But Devin Booker's one of the players that's supposed to be over there as well, and coming off these finals, I don't know, it might be a little rough for him. I think, isn't Chris Middleton on it too? I think he is. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this, but uh, we'll see. It wasn't the team that we were promised last year, but COVID messed things up when we were supposed to have like LeBron and Steph and Harden. I don't know. Some other players that would have, probably Chris Paul. It just would have been a lot different, but that's for a different topic, different conversation. I'm not even sure if I'm going to cover the Olympic team, but I might talk about them. So we'll see what happens. But once again, everybody, thank you for kicking in the second half. KISH YZ. If you like our videos, please give us a like, give us a subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our shoes videos, the shoes content. I'm putting out some more videos, doing some back to school videos for people who wanting to, look for budget friendly shoes, like shoes that are under $100 or close to $100, and or just wanting to get shoes that are cheaper for your wardrobe, or some of them aren't cheaply made shoes. They're just shoes that I try to tell you how I got them for under $100 as far as clearance deals or deals with coupons, things like that. And then some are cheaper shoes, but I try to tell you how to wear them. Maybe I'll do some videos on how to wear them as far as showing you physically what I would wear with them. But yeah, check those out, and we'll try to get some podcasts out as soon as the season rolls back around. And then some other things that we'll try to cover. But if you also want to check us out on Instagram and Twitter, you can look for us there at KISHYZ, at KISH_YZ. And then, if you're searching for us on the audio only podcast platforms, look for us under Kish YZ, KISH space YZ, the same as the YouTube. If you are listening, check out our YouTube page and give us a subscribe and a like. And, leave things in the comments. And I will catch you later, everybody. Thank you for kicking in the second half. Peace and love.